common answer that ends up being wrong is it was not the flux capacitor. We are nowhere near 1.21 gigawatts.
21 gigawatts!
All right, so it turns out that James Rice, 3403, was the first person to get very close. And he's actually dead on, but he did forget one thing about it, what I was asking for, of why it would happen. So, you can see here, this thing developed little holes that weren't there until we started up and ran it, which made it vacuum leak, which made it raise up in RPM and go lean, made me close throttle blade position because it was drawing all the air that it needed to run the engine from the 4 ports had holes just like that. All right, so that made it close it off, made it suck oil, obviously, made it go lean, made it have to turn the throttle blades down, made it smoke, obviously. The one part that I wanted to get to was why did it happen? The holes weren't there in the beginning. The holes only ended up being there after I ran it. The holes ended up being there because the engine, even as at low RPM, sitting there running, there is 0 manifold vacuum. You just go to wide open throttle. There's 0 manifold vacuum there. Even at low RPM, which we didn't run it up very high yet, pulled back the throttle, the engine's still running. You close the throttle blades on the engine, it creates a really big pressure differential in the intake port, going, sucks in really hard, and it sucked little holes into it. It didn't blow holes out of it because this is NA. There is no positive manifold pressure here. There's only negative manifold pressure. So when you're rolling the throttle, so that's what I wanted to hear from you guys was, yep, when you pulled back on the throttle, it caused a manifold vacuum, a high spike in manifold vacuum, which is perfectly normal. And the material was so thin and so old there, it just sucked the little holes in, thereby making it run lean, suck oil, burn oil on startup, and change your idle and all your carburetor and throttle position. So, good job, James Rice, 3403. Now, let's look at the dyno video. Oh, also, I'm going to show you spark plug reads at the end, the horsepower numbers on this, hitting the rev limiter, all sorts of good stuff. Well, dang, that is short. Nothing's broke, but it did break one adjuster. This is just getting things rerunning and I had to swap dynos because the other dyno is still freaking broke. So I pulled it over here, started back up, and was working on carburetors, and it smokes like a freight train when you started up at first. Mainly because on I think 4 of the ports, they are so welded up, have so much crap in them, and epoxy fell out. So there are all these holes in the intake port, broke that push rod cup, and this is all just running at 3,500 RPM so far. So I am working on your stuff, trying to work my way through these problems here on this deal. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do about this epoxy. I think I'm gonna change my push rods and get an even beefier push rod in it. Anyways, but just giving you a heads up. These engines are welded up. This is old school technology where there wasn't castings for everything. So they're taking GM castings and just welding the all holy bejeebas out of everything. Intake runners, ports, exhaust, decks. I mean, there is missing parts of blocks. There is like this whole area right here. I mean, it's just insane what they had to do back in those days. I remember those days. I was there. It's kind of neat working on old stuff like this again. Now, this is in no way, shape, or form making pro stock truck power. It's not. But it doesn't need to, and it actually probably shouldn't. But one thing, I just made the first pull on it, and not thinking about it, not remembering all the old school NA stuff that happens. I'll show you guys this if you can. See if I can show you the, oh, there you go. I don't know if you can really see it real well. That there, right there, let's see. No, I can't get, oh, there you go, maybe that's better. See that right there? That is the piston. That piston is so close that it shuts your spark plug gap off. It actually, this is an engine, these old engines like this, you would actually have to index the spark plugs so that pretend this is the bottom of the piston right here where my finger is. You have to index the spark plug so the piston's here and the strap is up. Because when the strap is down or anywhere in this range, the piston comes up and hits the strap and closes the spark plug up. That's pretty good. So that just repeated within 1 horsepower. That's pretty good. So you can see there from the last pull, the first pull, that first pull, I forgot to record and it only made 934. So just 1 horsepower off. And it does kind of, you know, it's making the horsepower I figured it would. And I'm not going after these carburetors, really working on the perfect clean tune to make the spot on the money perfect at 9,000 RPM and make like a, you know, probably 970-ish or so, because it's gonna hurt parts up there. It really needs to be in a safer, more richer spot because it's being loaded differently in this application. This application is not a drag race application where it's actually going to be, RPM is going to continue to increase until you chop throttle. It goes down. This is engine RPM's up and it's going and just lugging in a tractor pull application. So we're going to leave this thing rich. I'm going to go in there, look at some spark plugs, but I think the thing is pretty darn good. And repeat within 1 horsepower right there is really nice. Alrighty, let's look at some spark plugs here. Little oil leak, oil drift right there. Now see, I think this engine is really good, and it's very good for especially for in the application. Again, we can tune on this thing, make more horsepower, get it leaned up, make horsepower at even a higher RPM. It sounds happy up there. It would be plenty happy running up there. But in order to make it run properly up there, they gotta be really cutting edge lean. The problem with being really cutting edge lean is in this application where the engine does pull backwards, they're not just sitting up there zinging along and accelerating, they're loaded. Just a steady state load. And then actually physically going backwards some, it's gonna be no bueno. I don't want them to go out there and kill it. So have the fastest thing out there once. Who cares? We need to have the really best combination out there for long periods of time. Many pulls. So let's look at these spark plugs. That definitely is leaner. That back one is, this back one is, probably just should have thrown a brand new in it. The front one here is brand new. So this was a brand new plug because I couldn't get this cylinder to index with anything other than a brand new plug. Look at what these other ones look like. So it's more representative of 2 hits, no problems, everything being good. These other 3 plugs here are pretty much plugs with more time on them. So let's take a look at these. Everybody loves to read spark plugs. So this is what it looks like after it's had some runtime on it. Looks nice. I gotta look at it outside the camera. Yeah, no, that's right, and it's probably, oh, it's a tick short on timing still, which is fine, which is the way I'd want it to be. I want it to be safer than not. And then this is what a new spark plug looks like. Much wider on porcelain, but that's because it didn't have the previous problem that you guys are all guessing about. Let's see. Yep, no, I am plenty. Yeah, no, I'm plenty happy with that. I think that is a really good, nice setup right there. So onward ho to number 2 engine. And what he wanted me to do is wanted me to make everything is just, he swaps carburetors and that's it. A little bit of linkage and stuff like that. But both engines are set up the same, which they're not right now. So that's why I did a belt drive on the other one. The other one has a different oil pump, has some little idiosyncrasies. One plate that fits 2 different engines. Because you can see here, this is all one plate. So I made all this work. This engine is, the water pump fittings are down here. This is the standard one. The other engine is a standard style block. So really interesting stuff. The way things are done, close to 30 years ago. Alrighty, so you see everything that's going on. Had you guys tell me what you thought the problem was, what I was facing the issue was there. We're all done tuning this one, so now we're gonna put the second one on the dyno and come at that one. And maybe we'll do hopefully won't have any problems on that one, but you just never know. It is the way things go. So anyways, I'm Steve Morris, Steve Morris Engines. Have a great day.